Random House Audio presents The Perfect Score Project, Uncovering the Secrets of the SAT. This is the author, Debbie Stier. For Ethan, who taught me more about being a good mom than I ever taught him about the SAT, thank you for sharing this journey. Prologue. Freaky Friday. Nothing will distract me. If there's a fire, keep working. If someone throws up, don't move. And no freaking out. Skip and come back. Shorter is better. Backsolve, plug in, VPP. Make sure to answer the question they are asking. It's December 3rd, 2011, and the line at this middle-class suburban high school in Dobbs Ferry, New York is short today, not like the last time I was here 9 months ago for SAT number 2. Everyone seems more relaxed, or maybe I'm just more relaxed since this will be my 7th SAT of the year. I'm a veteran. Back in March, there was more nervous energy in the halls, kids on edge, some of them anxiously rehearsing the names of literary characters to use in their essays. What's the boss's name in Glengarry Glen Ross? Write about Blake. You pre-thought out your essay? I overheard one kid telling a friend, I'd get a 2400 if my driver's ed teacher was the proctor. On the other hand, I don't see the girls in the flannel pajama bottoms today. At the March test, that's what they were all wearing. This December crowd seems less nervous, but more serious, too. Okay, the essay. What do I need to remember? What is the thesis? Don't forget to circle back to your thesis in every paragraph. Write it at the top of your answer book, like Erica said. Don't forget to do that. And use good vocab, anomaly, redolent, circumspect, jingoistic. Try and weave in a few of those. Leave a few minutes at the end to double back and check grammar. No pronoun errors, for God's sake. Answer the question, yes or no. Agree or disagree. Declare. Don't waffle. Think. Debate team. Convince the essay grader. Build a case. I want a 12 so badly I can taste it. A Doogie Howser look-alike is in line in front of me. It's my 3rd time, he says to his friend. You're kidding, right? The friend asks. You've taken the SAT 2 times already? You're only a sophomore. The friend seems impressed, or maybe that's stress I hear in his voice. I'm not sure. I'm only half paying attention. I'm in the zone, focused, running down my mental checklist of what I need to remember for the essay. Don't forget to work in a counterexample at the end, and use a metaphor if possible, and a literary example. Enough with the Tiger Mom. She hasn't delivered that 12. Use The Things They Carried by Tim O'Brien. That's what John, the super methodical tutor, told me. Actually, he said to use an obscure poet, but that if I couldn't think of one, Tim O'Brien was a better choice than the Tiger Mom. Please, God, no technology prompts. The future is always a surprise. 4 years earlier. Tell your mother, she said, guiding my 12-year-old son, Ethan, into the conference room. Her hand rested gently on his shoulder as if to say, Don't worry, I've got your back. This was the school psychologist, and she'd just finished a round of psychological testing on my son, a legal requirement if Ethan's status as a student with a disability was to be maintained in the coming school year. Ethan's disability is what I describe as a mild case of garden-variety ADHD, the kind without the behavior problems. Ethan's an easygoing kid. He's happy-go-lucky but disorganized and needed a lot of refocusing during those early years in school. To my mind, ADHD is what we used to call boys. Now we have treatment for the condition and legally required accommodations at school. There were a handful of school administrators sitting around the table, gathered there on a spring morning for the annual review of Ethan's 504 plan. Ethan scanned the adult-filled room sheepishly, then looked down at his shoes. Finally, he looked at me and spoke. Mom, he said, I'm fine with B's. The room was silent for a moment, and then the door opened and Ethan's math teacher bounced in with a spring in his step, like Tigger in Winnie the Pooh. "Ethan's the classic underachiever," he announced, as if to say, "No big deal, just reporting an observation for the record. I'm fine with B's, and Ethan's a classic underachiever." I was the only person in the room experiencing a disconnect. Everyone else seemed to think underachievement was fine if you were getting B's. Or maybe not even B's. Later on, I talked to a family who got the same line about their son, another ADHD underachiever who was getting C's, and these were high school C's, which count. After the math teacher's report, the conversation turned to me and how I might learn to accept my 12-year-old son's expectations for himself. When I got to my car, I cried. I was worn ragged from years of doing battle with the schools over every scrap of common sense. There had to be an easier way. It was simply not possible that I was the only mother upset that her son was not living up to his potential, no matter what the school said. Surely there was an alternate universe where mothers were surprised to see a C on the report card after they'd been assured by their sons that they had all A's. "I don't know how it happened," Ethan would say, and he meant it. He didn't. Not until his mom called the school to get the story, which was usually some variation of, "He didn't turn in his homework," or "He had all A's except for one test where he got an F. That brought his grade down to a C for the semester." Ethan always managed to look on the bright side, no matter how many times this happened, and it happened constantly because he could never anticipate the problems before they arrived. His school life was like Groundhog Day, which is how I knew the 7th grade special ed teacher was dead wrong when he called me in to give me a lesson in parenting. He said, and I am quoting, "I should take away Ethan's safety net and let him fail a little," as he handed me a Xerox sheet of instructions from Outward Bound to clarify the theory. Intentionally letting a child fail might work with a kid who can see beyond the next 5 minutes, but that kid was not my son in 7th grade. To Ethan, the future always came as a surprise. I had had enough. For me, and this is where I parted ways with the school, the issue wasn't grades. I would have been proud of Ethan's B's if the math teacher had bounced in and said, "Ethan's a hard worker." But that's not what he said, and it wasn't what I was seeing either. Ethan was taking the easy path, and the school was in his camp. The administrators thought Ethan, a happy-go-lucky, disorganized middle school boy with ADHD, should determine his own academic goals. I had about 1 gasp's worth of fight left in me, so I called my friend Catherine. Catherine was another mom in the district. We'd met and bonded in the comments of a disgruntled mother's blog post. That disgruntled mother may have been me. I can't quite remember. Catherine was no fan of the middle school. Whenever the subject came up, she said the school motto should be, "Your child, not the little genius you thought he was." Catherine's husband, a professor at NYU, was equally disaffected, and after wrangling with the administration for 3 years, they had called it quits and taken their son Chris out of the district. Chris was 1 year ahead of Ethan, and Catherine had been urging me for months to call Mr. Lauber. Mr. Lauber is the director of admissions at Fordham Prep, a Jesuit high school in the Bronx where Chris was finishing his freshman year. I hadn't called because I didn't think my father would approve. "We're not Catholic," I'd tell Catherine. Her family wasn't Catholic either, but she was way past the issue of sending her son to a Catholic school, and she didn't seem the least bit concerned about the 2-train commute down the Hudson River with a layover in Harlem every day either. That's not the kind of thing most parents who live in the suburbs would even consider. Catherine's advice that day was the same. Call Mr. Lauber. I decided I would. By nightfall, I'd collected myself and was ready to have the conversation with my father. "Oh, the Jesuits," he said when I told him. "They're wonderful educators," which surprised me. I had been expecting resistance. Apparently, my father was tired of the struggle, too. The next day, which happened to be the day after the last day of Fordham Prep's school year, I made an appointment with Mr. Lauber for Ethan and me to come in. Mr. Lauber asked me to bring a copy of Ethan's report card. The next morning, Ethan put on a jacket and tie, and we drove to the school, where we found Mr. Lauber sorting textbooks. He teaches Greek and Latin in addition to his duties as the director of admissions. Everyone at the school...
Sample complete. Ready to continue?